Uh-oh, another faceless girl world creator makes a face reveal. Uh-oh, I'm sure this one ended badly.
Oh my god, lemon shortbread bites? Wait, I want that.
Who is Amberlynn Reid? Amberlynn Reid is many things. She's a 500-pound woman, first and foremost, microplastics farm, soup chef extraordinaire, poet and filmmaker, fur mama, supersized Ramona Flowers, figure of controversy, bingo champion of Oklahoma, conspiracy theorist, freak, human rights advocate, vegetarian meat eater, marathoner. Simply put, Amberlynn Reid is an infamous YouTuber. But why is she so, I guess, disliked? Okay, first I need to get real for a second. Hi, I'm Lemon, and I've been editing and uploading compilation videos about Amberlynn Reid for I think a year now. And listen, I know we're all in this circle of hell together, but for me, being a gorls creator is so embarrassing. I didn't even like people knowing that I watched her on my free time, and now I'm attaching my whole face to a channel where I make 20-minute compilations of her cooking or like mistreating her pets. This is like, I need to cut my internet access. They need to ban me from the internet. Why do I do this? Why am I here? Why are you here? Why are we both here, witnessing the life of a person being ruined by her own actions? You might ask me, why am I so obsessed with a woman that I don't know, will never know, and hasn't done anything personally to me? Level with me. This was me when I started watching Amberlynn Reid. I was the ripe age of 14 and as self-conscious and insecure as a teenager can be, which I am totally not anymore. And if you can tell by the ghost of YouTube past over there, my favorite YouTuber was PewDiePie. I started watching him when I was very young, and I was like 8 and just learning English, and these videos were my thing. Anyways, back then I had no idea what lolcow internet culture was. But I've always loved YouTube. I really liked comedy and video games, which led me to Let's Plays, which led me to commentary, which led me to, I suppose, dark and controversial topics. YouTube made me nosy, I think. I was a very nosy 14-year-old with an iPad and too much free time. PewDiePie makes this video a couple of years later, an expose on a company known as BetterHelp. And lo and behold, these two pop up. I look up the channel, watch Amber's reaction to PewDiePie and then some other of her videos, and I just remember thinking something like, whoa, I'm not the fattest person in this world. No, in all seriousness, it was the first time I've watched videos of just a normal person with nothing particularly remarkable about them living their life. No video game, no commentary, nothing, just vlog style content. And also, let's face it, I've never seen someone as big as her, except in like exploitative TV shows or like the movie Seven, I guess. I was intrigued, but not as invested. After all, she didn't make Happy Wheels videos, so I didn't care for her. And it stayed like that for a while. I'd occasionally pop back into her channel to see how she was doing, see if she had lost weight, I don't know, something different. I get hooked for a couple of days and then I just go. Closest thing I can compare it to, and this is gonna sound fucked up, but you know when you're playing The Sims and you get bored of it because you're cheap like me and don't want to pay so much money for the packs. So you look up ways to like make The Sims more enjoyable again. And there's this cute little website that says, make a sim with attributes you wouldn't usually like. So you make this little stinky guy in your computer, which you don't really like, and it's public enemy number 1. And you just have him there until his stove catches on fire or he becomes like a plant sim. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, it's fun for 30-minute intervals. Anyways, how did we get here? Without being too specific, I developed some issues up in here, which made me have issues down there. And that made me seek out content about food and body image, which led me right back to Amberlynn Reid. And this time I was in the swamp. She became sort of like my white noise. My brain developed a fascination where her content was just so easy for me to digest. It didn't need much brain power, obviously. It didn't make me laugh, it didn't make me angry or sad, it just was there. So it was a perfect background noise that added just a little plus of making me feel better about myself. Then I'm learning how to use CapCut, so I decided to make my own compilations. I upload them to this channel, and now I'm here, and you're here, and we are here together. And I'm so glad you guys are here. And listen, the reason I think many girl word creators turn into lolcows themselves is because they often try to find ways to make the content we do sound like it's something productive. Let me be the one to tell you that 90% of the content from this community and this side of the internet, mine included, it's just mean-spirited entertainment. And that's okay, I guess. I don't feel bad about it. In the context of the internet, it's a strange phenomenon that's a line between being morally gray and morally wrong. And I think I'm still right around here. I have several and more reasons to dislike this individual, and I could easily name the worst ones to get you guys to be on my side. But let's be real, I'm not making commentary or compilation videos on every animal abuser over there, and especially not about their cooking. So why do I do it? Why am I quote-unquote obsessed with Amber? Honestly, the main reason I've had since I started watching her when I was 14 is that I'm just glad it's not me. There's a bit of a debate around this, but I really do think Amberlynn Reid is a lolcow. Know Your Meme, the fountain of reliable information, by the way, defines a lolcow as a derogatory way to describe a highly exploitable person online, such as those who post a consistent flow of cringeworthy content. Lolcows generate a steady stream of lols, mostly as a result of trolling, but also as a result of the lack of self-awareness about the content they're posting. Essentially, anyone who regularly produces content that can be exploited might be deemed a lolcow. Now, why do I think Amberlynn Reid being a lolcow is up for debate? Mostly, and I think it's honestly quite weird, Amberlynn's watch audience is very different from the audiences of most well-known lolcows. It is staggeringly different, actually. The kind of people who watch Amberlynn, me included, are also the type of people not usually well-liked among the cesspools of like Reddit and 4chan users that make fun of people like her. There's a lot of women in this community in the girl world. There's a lot of LGBTQIA+ watchers and creators. There's racial minorities and even other plus-size people that agree that she sucks. And she sucks in an interesting kind of way. The type of people that would hype up or defend others like Amberlynn seem to hate her. Now, in this Reddit thread about why people watch lolcows, I found a couple interesting perspectives, ones that even mention Amber, but I didn't really feel like they resonated with mine and other people's experiences as well that I've read about from girlwood watchers. I headed on over to another subreddit, one which I will not mention because if you're not already in it, it is not a healthy community for the mind to be in. There I found other perspectives that I think are much more fitting for the majority of us. I'm gonna speak for myself now when I say that I think my fixation for her came from a little of the fact that her mundanity, I'm not sure how that word is in English, but it's comforting, I think. And the shticks she pulls are a little bit funny, but mostly from the fact that I feel so much better about myself, my weight, my life, my accomplishments when I see her so unbothered to be living like that. And it's almost reassuring that way. Like I'm not doing that bad. It reminds me it could always get worse, I think. Which is still shitty, don't get me wrong, which is why this community is a guilty pleasure for many of us. It is a form of escapism similar to trashy reality TV or shock value educational shows. It's not an outlet to escape your current reality, but a reminder that it can always be worse. And when those people that are quote-unquote worse are doing bad things, it spurs on the sense of justice that even more shows capitalize on, like following along to court trials or an episode of those 10,000 police dramas that are always on TV. To many, including me, it's almost sort of calming. Fascinating, sure, but mostly reassuring. Okay, girlies, let's play house, and I will be the dog. Another fascinating thing about Amberlynn Reid is the community that has been built around her. I mean, she quite literally birthed a genre of YouTuber just by her uploading videos about her life. This woman created my side hustle. Like, that's insane. Regardless, even if it is silly for the subject at hand, it is safe to say that this is a part of human behavior. One of my favorite movies is Troll 2, an admittedly awful film. And part of the reason I love it so much is because of the other weirdos that also love it so much. Niche cult communities feel so different from larger ones. It almost feels like you're part of a secret club, where you might not know each other's names, but you can start a funny phrase and that other stranger would totally just finish it for you. We finish each other's sentences, girls. Like, what comes to your head when I say, good lord? Hater Nation became just that for a lot of people. For me, it's almost post-ironic. Like, yeah, the idea of a drinking game based around how many times this woman uses a word incorrectly or smacks her lips is funny because of how ridiculous it is. But then when you play it and you actually have genuine fun, is it still a joke? What is the line between hate watcher and content enjoyer? Reactors and compilators teeter the line between healthy and obsessive viewership. I know making these videos is doing something to my brain, man, I just don't know what yet. This community is full of funny, intelligent people, but it's also weird as hell. Like, I feel weird as hell making money from it. I'm not gonna stop. I got a college tuition to pay, and besides, I love reading you guys' comments and talking to you. You're just so nice, most of you. Most of us have fun here, but I can't deny that it's sometimes muddied by things that I think are genuinely wrong. I do not wish harm on this woman. Let me make that extremely clear. And you shouldn't either. She's awful and it's satisfying to make fun of awful people, but don't let this imaginary hatred for a woman we don't know turn into something nasty. Keep it lighthearted, girls. That's what I gotta remind myself every time I'm editing a video. This post from the Amberverse subreddit, which got nuked, I'm pretty sure. It was the previous one. No, I'm sure it's been like 4. Voices some of the thoughts I have about this, so shout out to Throw R.A. Announcer with a Z. I don't understand that emotional attachment in the community. I've never been an Am baby and have been watching through reaction/compilation channels for the last 6 years or so. Amber annoys me and it grows in multiple facets, but I don't know, some people in girl world are very emotionally affected by her. People crying over Rarity, which yes, is extremely sad, but seems a little much for an animal none of us ever met. People getting extremely angry at everything she does, offended by how she portrays mental illness, mad at her lies and smugness, and I don't understand any of it. She's not a friend who wronged us. Even for people who were Am babies before and turned haters, still no one but her personal circle has actually been betrayed by her. The whole gaslighting the audience thing seems a bit silly when the overwhelming majority of her audience already doesn't believe her or already knows she's manipulative. Some people even hope for her to die. Everything she does is taken as something bad, and when she does do a lot of shitty things, not everything is that deep or intentional. There's always posts about how she's essentially triggered people, which is understandable. But you also don't have to watch the content if it's especially triggering. And if watching a morbidly obese woman who can hardly leave her apartment, let alone wipe her ass, triggers something deep in a viewer, it's probably some time for self-work. This is a woman who none of us are ever going to meet or personally know. Watching from a distance is one thing, but some of y'all are actually having dreams about her at night and making fan art and stuff. It just seems very parasocial. Am I alone in this? I just can't imagine being so emotionally invested, and I've been in the community for years. There's a paper by Kelly Rickman Abdu that is titled Wreckage and Art, a driving force in the work of Jan Anders Nelson. Quote, "For centuries, prominent artists have shown an apparent interest in devastation through their work. Chaotic scenes of religious cataclysm and ensuing destruction dominated the art of the Middle Ages. In the 20th century, prolific artists like Andy Warhol and Jim Dine would modernize this trend, exploring automobile accidents in their respective series, Death and Disaster, 1963, and Car Crash, 1960. These in turn inspire similar interest among contemporary artists like Jan Anders Nelson. In drawings like American Landscape and Midwestern Motel, and other paintings that comprise his online exhibition, Dirty Picture Show, Nelson explores the altered appearance of cars post-crash, with mangled grills, protruding parts, and crooked bumpers. The classic all-American cars seem to allude to a broken all-American dream. During the 60s and the early 1970s, the American public developed a fascination with car crashes and the destruction that they represent. People have always had morbid curiosities. Those who are most critical of lolcow culture classify those who consume it as quote-unquote middle school bullies, or people who are obsessed or parasocial. And even if they are largely correct with that description, I really don't think almost 250k middle school bullies found their way to this woman's channel. What about those who watch from afar? Who watch the videos, the reactions, the compilations, who read the subreddits, the community posts, who've never spoken a word to or about Amber, but have always just been there? I know I was one of them at some point before this, and I certainly wasn't bullying anyone. It feels icky to have it, but curiosity about the weird and the off-putting is much more common than we care to admit. Morbid curiosity as a concept was first posed by Aristotle, with a quote that roughly translates to, "We enjoy and admire paintings of objects that in themselves would annoy or disgust us." This aspect of the human psyche of seeking out unpleasant content just for the hell of it has been studied largely and understood slightly. Some papers I read, and that I will link in the description, define it as a personality trait. Others as a way to seek reassurance that death and misfortune follows a natural order. We are curious about the best and the worst case scenarios. We always have been. And the weight loss failure and multiple falls from grace from an unlikable person is pretty much what many of us would consider a worst case scenario for our own lives. It's tough, and you'd almost feel bad for her if she wasn't so mean on top of that, which ends up almost giving you a self-righteous indignation and a thought of, well, it's bad that it's happening, but at least it's happening to a bad person. If I could, I'd make it so that there was never a car crash ever again. But since I can't, and there's one happening right outside my window, you know I'm gonna poke my head and look at it. Honestly, I really just wanted to make a ThinkFizz video like this because YouTube has become somewhat of a part of my life. I am a college student, and I'm lucky enough to have parents that support me, but we're not loaded. And I just lost a job that gave me an extra source of income. I was never in a million years thinking of monetizing this channel. I started just mainly as a way to learn video editing. It feels weird, you know? Receiving a paycheck for an admittedly morally reprehensible thing, and it's been eating at me for a while now. I've been reading you guys' comments, and it's a good feeling, you know? That you guys enjoy my humor and know my references, and it just feels like I'm part of a club. I was skeptical of showing my face. I know that doesn't end really well often, but I just wanted to make a more serious, more researched video, at least for once, because this is a topic that's, as I mentioned, having an impact in my life, so I wanted to speak on it. I'll still be making my videos. I know my commentary is a bit mean on them sometimes, and I do feel a little bad, but that's just because I think I'm a bit mean sometimes, and you guys seem to like it, so I guess that's that. I don't know whether I'll be showing my face again soon, maybe. I really enjoyed doing the research for this video, so I guess we'll see. For now, just, I don't know, take care.